clearly the times are changing, so how do you sort of get on this train? Well, when it comes to personal branding, you buy from your C-suite, and that doesn't just mean a nod of approval, it means your CEO and CMO putting themselves out there and creating content themselves. That is if you want to scale it for your business. Because without that, most of your entry and mid-level employees will not see value in personal branding. And that means ultimately you won't be able to create what Mark Killen's calls a groundswell of community engagement that puts prospects top of mind when they eventually make buying decisions. First things first, I'll run through exactly who I am to be telling you all this and what you can expect from us today. So my name is Greig, I'm Senior SEO Content Executive Cognism. Earlier on this year, I decided to invest in my personal brand, started off with a couple of hundred followers and grown it to like 1.3k. After getting some traction on my own personal brand, I went to run company-wide sort of lunch and learns on the topic. I'm going to be repurposing some of them as an interactive course, I think, for the company. As simple as it. So today we're going to be covering how you can set goals and find your audience for your LinkedIn personal brand, how you can master the art of LinkedIn SEO, advice to overcome imposter syndrome, frameworks that help you keep and build momentum, and how to measure your personal brand. Finally, I'll share some of my key takeaways from my Cognism personal branding journey, and hopefully that'll help you get off on the right foot. Cool, so that's setting goals and finding your audience. So choosing the right personal branding goals depends on the individual company that they work for. A personal goal might be joining a community full of peers, to upskill yourself and keep your finger on the pulse of your community. To do this effectively, you consume and engage with content created by the community while creating content of your own that the community responds to. Indirectly, this also benefits the company who reap the rewards of any sort of newfound knowledge that the individual gains. Another goal might be building communities full of potential buyers and adding value to them over time, which helps you drive high intent leads to your site in the long term. Obviously, that's easier for sales to convert, so that's ideal. And that's most likely to probably be a company goal. So people are trying to sort of leverage the power of the crowd to impact their bottom line. Arranging valuable brand collaborations is another goal that benefits the individual and the company. For example, on an individual level, someone may start engaging with a particular influencer regularly to get on their radar. Then they might reach out for a collaboration, be it a guest blog, webinar, something like that. And the brand ultimately can piggyback on that audience and take advantage of it. Meanwhile, the individual influencer obviously benefits by engaging with that bigger influencer and maybe then engaging with that influencer as well. So I'm sure there are a few mischievous people out there who are thinking solely on an individual level, and obviously personal branding can be a good way for you to get a new job basically. If you demonstrate a certain level of expertise in a topic, position yourself as a thought leader, you're going to have a better chance of driving some inbound interest in your services, and then potentially you'll be hired without an interview process. But that's not key takeaway from my talk today, really. Jesus. Personal branding. So personal branding goals are essentially when they join up individual and company goals. That's when it's most powerful. So that's what I'm going to speak about today. And in terms of defining your audience, once you've worked out your unique goals, you can obviously need to work out exactly who you're talking to. From an individual's perspective, like in my case, I create content I wish I had access to a couple of years ago. So trying to upskill people who are budding content executives, I guess. And from a company perspective, that kind of indirectly helps to target our marketing persona. So on to the art of LinkedIn SEO. So the easiest thing that you can do, either as an individual or as a company, is start by optimizing your bio. So as you can see from Save's here, he has his job title, which is serving the keywords, makes him discoverable for anybody who wants to find people of his level in his organisation. He's also crucially got a benefit-led headline, and that leaves you in no doubt really about what he does and the problem that he solves. He also uses pretty ultra-specific language to describe what he does, and all of that kind of terminology is interlinked with Cognism as a brand. So, think three of our main value propositions are in there. So he's really sort of put himself in a cognitive context. And so next slide, Alice is in the front row. I'm also using the case study here. So she's taken a similar approach to SAFE, using stats to sort of validate her abilities, which can be really powerful. Everybody loves stats in marketing. And underneath the bio, she's turned on creator mode. This shows that sort of people land on your profile know exactly what you're going to be talking about. So you're setting out your story, making sure that the connections that you build, the network that you build is really relevant to you. Interestingly, the create mode also switches out the connect button for a follow button, which is sort of like a smaller app. So you can connect with people. I think sometimes, yeah, you can see some of these content without them accepting your request if you've never met them, for example. It's just easier. So onto organising your feature section. This is just the section just below the headline and things like that. And so this is from Safe's profile. So in this feature section, he's included top performing LinkedIn posts. It's definitely worth noting this is better than showcasing what you've done on an external site. The intent of people on LinkedIn tends to be they want to be educated and informed, unless it's an email or advertising work. Direct mail and email, you guys might try that as well. But generally, the intent of people in B2B on LinkedIn is to get information and to upskill themselves. So don't try and sell content that's like trying to get a demo or something like that, because you'll just turn it off and probably lose them. Finally, onto the about section. So there's two ways you can approach sorting out your about section. On the right hand side, we've got Chris Walker's. So his company is Refine Labs, and he's sort of interchangeable with them as a brand. As a result, he's kind of like put a key value proposition on there. He's included some of the skills that he's got on there as well. But it's really a focus on the company because he's selling his company services. On the left, it's also a figurehead there. And on the left hand side, you've got mine. So I'm not like yet the figurehead for Cognism's brand. My bias is more around me in the Cognism context. And the easiest way generally to start this process is I'd say pick some leaders within your company and sort out their bio using the best practice examples that everybody can use and copy essentially. Over to the imposter syndrome now. So, obviously there's going to be a few actionable tips throughout the presentation, but I think a lot of people will never get as far as even putting them into practice, mainly because they have a fundamental mental block about posting on LinkedIn. I think that is fair enough. Going viral with a secret opinion is pretty common these days. So I understand people's fear about it, but it's less of an issue on LinkedIn, and I don't think many people can sort of savage you for having an opposing opinion, when they just encourage a little bit of debate. So I think to stop this attitude from saying you or a company that you're working for needs to hear three different things. Number one, when you first start posting, nobody gives a shit at all. They literally don't. Number two, no matter what level of expertise you have, it's an audience for you. And number three, this brings the negative comments actually positive feedback as well. So on point one, it sounds a little bit harsh, but it is true. When your audience is small and engaged, the damage you can do to yourself is minimal. That is once you start posting QAnon conspiracies or something like that. Don't do that. Don't do that. Generally you can overestimate the significance of your posts in the beginning. So because you're not getting much engagement, not many people are looking, it's a good time to test out your tone of voice, look for your audience, and sort of test the types of posts that work best for you. And that means by the time that people actually are listening, your personal brand is sort of well in check. On point two, a lot of the influencers actually underestimate the usefulness of their own expertise. So I think there's a ton of people in entry-level roles who would automatically think that they don't have anything valuable to say, but actually some of the best content comes from people. I know you know a company from SDRs who are on the front line to people every day, and some of the people at the coalface who have some of those actual insights out there. Mid-level and top level, it goes for saying it's going to be useful to someone out there. So everybody has always something to find. I think if you are entry level, if no one's creating content for you, how are you ever going to get to a point where you can level up and upskill yourself? On point 3, I think once you've established what your personal brand is, a good rule of thumb is that 70% of you should agree with the post and 30% should disagree. And having that balance, I guess, just generally just saying something that's worth saying. I think if everybody's agreeing all the time, it's probably a little bit vanilla, and also if everybody's disagreeing all the time, you're just trying to hurt people a little bit too much. So it's good to have that balance. So, on to building and keeping post momentum. I've kind of spoken about how defined goals can, defined goals do help keep you motivated in terms of personal brand, but it only goes so far. And you do need some like practical infrastructure to keep you posting, no matter how motivated you are really. It's something that will help you tell the story. So, the content plan is one of those things. I'm sure some of you are familiar with how content plan works, but you just plan out topics that you're going to cover on a particular day, say over the course of a month or a couple of weeks, and that means not scrabbling around in the day to come up with an idea that you can post around. Another technique is bulk writing posts in advance. That means all you have to do is schedule each post, which saves the brain power day to day of having to just think of stuff all the time, which can be kind of exhausting, and it also takes a lot of time if you're not feeling particularly inspired. The only real downside of it is, for example, something viral going around, you can't really take advantage of. So yeah, there's something to weigh up there. But when I first started, I started posting without any real structure, and I just posted reactively. Something that I was inspired by, whether it's a podcast, something that I've read, something that I've watched, and you just run out of steam so quickly. Like, don't do that basically. You need some support and some infrastructure underneath you to keep you posting. Recently I tested a new approach actually to address this. It's worked quite well. So I'm obviously a content writer, and there's a framework within that, which is like creating pillar pages and cluster topics around them. So I thought I'd transplant that to personal branding. For anyone who doesn't know, so topic clusters are the offshoots of pillar pages, and a pillar page is a comprehensive top-level breakdown of a particular topic. So if my pillar is something like B2B SaaS content marketing, because that's what I do, my clusters will be things like content marketing strategy, keyword research, content marketing metrics, content marketing career advice, it goes on and on. Using a structure like this and adapting it to LinkedIn, you can craft a consistent narrative over time. Instead of taking a scattergun approach, you know exactly what you'll be posting about all the time. Consistency obviously helps connections and post views associate your personal brand with a specific topic, which is super helpful. In my case, I did a series of content marketing career tips recently. To organise them into a cluster, I created sort of a bespoke hashtag. I included that bespoke hashtag as a CTA in the comments of my posts and directed viewers towards it. The idea behind that is that as more people engage with the content, they don't have to scroll through all your activity to find value that's relevant to them, so they can just navigate to hashtag and find value instantly. Eventually, once you've said everything you have to say about topic cluster, you can reset and create a new one. And I think generally, just as a platform, because it is you view most of the content as a feed, it can be like a little bit hard to get to like a linear reading experience. So it's kind of a way around that way. You can sort of like avoid doing that. So in many ways, this is kind of a completely futile slide really, because there's so many types of LinkedIn posts that do work, but there are some that work particularly well for me, so I just share them. But your best source of inspiration is the feed. You're going to see a ton of viral posts. Some of them have images, some of them have polls. Often it's stuff that's pretty simple and shitty, really. But you can copy it and try and see if it works for you. Progress posts actually are ones that work really well for me. They can take a variety of forms, but general narratives, like you start with something, you become good at something, that sort of thing. They help to provide out with data, obviously not just a narrative then. Pain point posts also aim to quickly solve the audience's problems, so I guess if you discovered a hack or something like that, you can share that with them. And niche value add posts are things that help you target audience really achieve their career ambitions, so it's the day-to-day firefighting. To do that effectively, you need to know your audience really well. And for me, it's kind of easy because I'm a marketer and I'm speaking to marketers, but you will really need to dig deep into your ideal customer profile and know them inside out if you want to sort of do those value-adding posts and be effective with them. Yeah, and it's like the last thing to mention with posting generally is like you should have a balance between the types of posts that you have. So if you're going for crowd pleasers 1 day a week, I'd make sure that you're adding value with your posts during that week. Because if you overdo it with humorous posts, or if you overdo it with really deep dive data posts, then people will probably switch off. In the case of the latter, you're just not going to get the reach that you need. In the case of the former, you're not going to be able to build the trust that you need to really build your personal brand over time. So, measuring the progress of your personal brand. I think anybody who manages a company account on LinkedIn you get a breakdown of analytics. They're not amazing, and the cases especially. So that's especially the case where you can see personal brand analytics becomes basically nothing. A lot of people kind of manually try and track it, but I think a lot of the time that just actually takes more time than to actually post. So it's pointless. To combat that, yes. So instead of doing that, there is a solution out there. It's called Shield. Now, I'm not being sponsored by them. I wish I had said that I'm going to be included in this and maybe slip me a little bit of money. But yeah, Shield's good. You can get them for free for 10 days, and then it's $12 per month per user, I think. And team plans are also available, so then you can really track how your personal branding is going over time. As you can see, I've got my year-to-date analytics at the top right here. A lot of green arrows in there, but sort of the shorter your the time period that you put in there, like the more actual the data will be. For example, week to week or month to month, you'll be able to see your analytics. And from the orange arrows on there, you can see that I think my engagement rate isn't great, so I can potentially improve my CTAs to try and get people to comment and engage more deeply. On the left hand side of the screen, you can see top posts. That's ideal because obviously you're wanting to double down on things that work well and sift out things that don't work well. So having that in sort of a user-friendly interface is nice to have. Yeah, closing thoughts. So to round everything up, it's worth me sharing some of the lessons Cognism learned from implementing all this advice and today. If you are going to take this on at a company level, I would recommend that you run sessions probably twice a month. Weekly sessions just too labour intensive, and monthly sessions just you forget about basically. Run a poll to see what times and day work best. Secondly, I'd say choose a company figurehead to front the sessions, ideally someone who already has an established personal brand. You can get sort of more junior personal branding champions to prepare the necessary materials to sort of do these sessions, but you need sort of the clout, the senior person within your company to make it feel compulsory, because otherwise people, I think, just tend to switch off and they'll go for lunch instead of learning about something new. Thirdly, to make it scalable, if you do sessions internally, make sure that you record them, save them in a central repository that everyone in the company can access. So even if live attendance is poor on those sessions, you can repurpose that content, or people can just get value from it over time. And finally, ultimately, motivation is to actually get people to start posting. Money helps, I guess. Incentives can help to really get it off the ground. And yeah, people just might completely see value in it, but if you quit in someone's direction, will always make things a little more appetizing. That's it basically. That's how you can start building hype for you and everyone in your business. But if you do encounter any hurdles, just remember the words of David Beckham. Success begins with a state of mind. If you want success, start thinking of yourself as a success. Thank you.